So we have a lot of important things to review today. We're going to start out with a lot of the COVID specific pieces of information that you're going to need to know. Then we're going to get into some cafeteria and lunch procedures that will be changing because next week we're going to have many more students back with us in the building. We have academic updates. Summer school may be needed for some of you. We'll talk about that. A couple of reminders on hallways, passes, and the dress code. And then at the end of the year, we'll need your Chromebooks back and your textbooks. We'll talk about how that's going to work. Like I said, student services will be giving an update, and then your class advisors and student council advisors as well will be giving an update. So we're going to go ahead and hop right in. This meeting also is being recorded. If I move a little bit too quick and you miss something, we can go back and watch it later. I'll be emailing this out at the end of the day. All right, at this point, we're going to get started with social distancing and masks. So you may have been paying attention to the news and noticing that the guidelines on masks are changing around here. That's a good thing. We're starting to get back to normal. The COVID rates are going down. However, masks still do need to be worn properly at all times when you are in the school, properly covering your nose and your mouth. There are no exceptions if you've been vaccinated, and the same goes for all of the adults in the building. You need to wear your mask at all times in the school except for when you are eating lunch. So keep that in mind. A lot of you are starting to get vaccinated now. Again, that's a great thing, and that will allow you to not wear your mask outside of the building if you're going to the grocery store or to other places. But when you're in school, you need to wear your mask at all times. Please follow that. We will give those gentle reminders of the mask dips down below the nose for a little bit. We do need you to put it back on and wear it properly. That's for the safety of everybody, and that is a requirement from New York State and the CDC. We need you to wear the mask in school still. Related to social distancing, starting next week, you will notice that we will be 3 feet apart in classrooms between desks instead of where we've been for most of the year, which is 6 feet. That's because we have lower COVID numbers, and we can have anybody who wants to come to school 4 days a week given that ability to do so. So that's a really cool thing. What that means is that we're going to have desks closer together. The only exception to that is lunches. We will be eating 6 feet apart still in the North Gym and cafeteria. More to come on that. But as far as classrooms go and on the school bus, we're going to be as close as 3 feet apart. That means your teachers will be giving you an assigned seat. That's for contact tracing purposes. The same goes for the buses. You need to sit in your assigned seat. In the rare case that there is another positive student in the school, we need to know who was closer than 6 feet to them in class or on the school bus. So we need to go to those seating charts to determine whether or not another student might need to be quarantined because they were in close contact of a positive COVID case. And again, keep this in mind too. If you get called because you were close to a positive case, and you are fully vaccinated, you would not need to quarantine. So again, one more reason to maybe go ahead and get that COVID vaccine. If you have any questions throughout this entire meeting, please go ahead and use the chat. I'm going to continue to let people in, but again, please go ahead and continue to use the chat. But again, starting next week, many more students are coming back to school in person 4 days a week. If you want to come back 4 days a week and you haven't indicated that yet in the email that we have been sending to your parents, it's not too late. Send an email to myself or to a counselor, and we will go ahead and do that for you and get you back in 4 days a week. The same goes if you're fully remote. We all have the ability to be back in school 4 days a week, every day. Moving on, with more students coming back into school 4 days a week, we need to eat in 2 locations at the same time, meaning the North Gym and the cafeteria are both at the same time going to be used for eating. So typically all year, we've been eating either in the North Gym 4th period and then the cafeteria 5th period and then vice versa. We are now going to be using both areas simultaneously at the same time. The reason for that is because we have more students in the building than we have seats in the cafeteria to keep you 6 feet apart. So because of that, we needed to come up with a way to divide this. And what we've determined is that freshmen, you guys, and sophomores, you will be eating every lunch period in the North Gym every day for the rest of the school year. We've got about a month to go. So freshmen eat in the North Gym along with sophomores. Juniors and seniors, they're upperclassmen. We will have them eating in the cafeteria. You're going to have 3 more years after this year to enjoy the beautiful cafeteria. So for this year, sophomores and freshmen in the North Gym for the rest of the school year, every lunch period starting on Monday, from Monday until the end of the school year. Again, you need to sit in a desk. The desks are 6 feet apart. You need to maintain that 6 feet of social distancing when you're eating lunch. The other thing to keep in mind is to please not sit down at a desk in the North Gym until we've given you the okay to do so. Our custodial staff needs time to clean the areas and disinfect them from the person who ate there before you. So if they're still cleaning up the desks, you need to go ahead and wait a little bit until they've given you the okay. It's fine if you want to put your bag down or your belongings down in order to get where you need to go and reserve your seat, but don't sit down until the desk has been wiped clean and you've been told you can sit there. I would recommend getting your food first. When the period starts, go right into the lunch line, get your lunch, get your snack, take everything, and then go up into the North Gym. If you're bringing a lunch, you can go straight to the North Gym. But if you're getting a school lunch or any kind of snack, get that first and then go to the North Gym so we don't have to double back and you can sit down and you can be set. Again, at the end of lunch, in order to allow for cleaning, we're going to ask you to be dismissed a few minutes early. Some of the teachers or lunch monitors in there will let you go 1 or 2 minutes early. If it's nice, we'll send you outside. If it's a little cold, we might send you to the gym. That's so the custodians can start cleaning the area for the next period to come in. I have a question in the chat. And again, keep using the chat if you have questions. The question is, can I eat in the library or in another location? No. The answer is no. You have to eat lunch in the North Gym. However, if you'd like to go to the library afterwards, you can do that. We'll talk about that a little bit later in this meeting. So that's a really, really good question. Thank you for the question. But you have to eat in the North Gym. Moving on, some academic updates. As far as academics go, we only have 20 school days left. Unbelievable to say that. 4 of them are Wednesdays. So what that means is we really only have 16 days where we follow our bell schedule. It's going to come end of the year here before we know it. So we need to finish the school year strong. With that comes the reminder that when you are in school physically, you need to physically be in your classroom. There's no need now to go to the library and learn remotely or to log in from the cafeteria because we're short 1 seat in the classroom. You're going to notice actually starting tomorrow, like I've already said, there are more seats in the classroom, more desks. So when you're in school, you're in the class just like normal times. The only time you would need to be logging in remotely would be when an administrator like myself or Mr. Pigeon tells you it's okay to do so. But really, that's not going to need to happen at all anymore. Getting to the calendar here. This is an important calendar that shows you the last few days of the school year in June. So we'll go through it right now. Monday, June 14th and Tuesday, June 15th are the last 2 days of the bell schedule where we follow our 9-period bell schedule. After that, on Wednesday, June 16th, that is a normal Wednesday schedule of remote learning for all students. You'll still be expected to log into homeroom in the morning for attendance and then still check in with your teachers during their office hours and get any class work done on Google Classroom. A quick note on Wednesdays. If you would like to come in on Wednesdays, we're open for business. You can come to school on Wednesday to get some extra help. Just email or speak with myself or a school counselor or call the school or have a parent do that. And we can add you to our Wednesday list so you can get help from a teacher one-on-one. You can work with a support session teacher to make sure that you're finishing the year strong. So that's for all Wednesdays. Thursday does not apply to you. You are not taking the ELA Regents Exam. So that's basically a day for you where you don't need to log into homeroom, but you might be using that time to get some extra work done. Friday the 18th is no school for a holiday of Juneteenth. This day, June 21st, is very important. This is the last official day of remote learning where attendance is taken in homeroom. So Monday, June 21st, all students will be remote. You'll be expected to log into homeroom, normal, go to teacher office hours like normal, and finish up any last minute assignments. If you're really, really good and on top of things, you might not have a lot to do, but you still are expected to log into homeroom. And then after that, the only other days you might need to come into school are if you are taking either the living environment exam. I don't believe most freshmen take that, but a few do. Actually, bio honors, so actually quite a few. I take that back. So if you're taking living environment, the Regents exam, or if you're taking algebra, there's a Regents exam on June 23rd. Or if you're taking the Earth Science Regents exam, that's on June 24th. You would only come into school if you are actually taking that Regents exam. And we recommend that all students do go ahead and take the Regents exam. They are optional. I have that question just asked to me. Regents exams are optional, but here's why I think you should take them. Number one, they can only help you. So even if you fail the exam, it doesn't matter if you've passed the course. So the course is what matters. And Mr. Benton, feel free to chime in at any time here too. But if you pass a course like algebra and you have a 90 in the course and you take the algebra exam and you get a 72, it's no big deal. On your transcript, we will put an E for exempt. So colleges and your future people where your college applications really, they're not going to see that score. But let's say the reverse happens and you have an 80 in algebra and you take the exam and you get a 91. You might want to show that off and you can have the 91 be shown on your transcript and we'll work with you after that. The exam grade can only help you. So we also recommend this for the other reason of the fact that you as freshmen most likely are going to be mandated to take Regents exams next year as sophomores and maybe as juniors and seniors. So sitting for a Regents exam, they are usually 2 to 3 hours. You usually get about 3 hours to take a Regents exam. Sometimes you can get done a little bit early, but it's good practice for you. So I really recommend that you come in and you take these exams. They can only help you. Mr. Benton, anything to add?
Yeah. I just kind of wanted to reiterate that point that Mr. Lonzak talked about, especially for those of you that are, if you're thinking farsighted, and I know it's not easy to do that right now, but for those of you as freshmen are thinking farsighted about college and things like that, the fact that it can't hurt you if you don't take it or you do poorly, but if you do well, it can help. And it's a matter of, another thing that's on your transcript that colleges will see if you do really well, that that looks good, in terms of being evaluated, in terms of getting, sometimes it's a very thin line between getting accepted into a college and not getting accepted into a college. So those of you that are really thinking about that are really serious about that, it really might be to your advantage, especially if you're doing well in the class. There are some other reasons as well. If you're a good test taker, there are other diploma designations like honors and mastery that you can get that are based on, right now it's either class averages or Regents exams. So, if you're in that lower 80 range, grade wise, but you're a really good test taker and you can get over 85 on a Regents exam, you could use that as part of a higher designation diploma designation, basically. So just some things to think about, especially for those of you that are thinking farsighted as far as those types of exams go.
Right. I know you hear optional and you think, oh, good, I'm not going to take it. This can only help you if you take it. And just the other point I want to say again, next year, I can almost say with 100% certainty, you will absolutely have to take your Regents exams next year. So you might as well get some practice on coming in and seeing how these exams work. It's good practice for you. So next year you've had some experience. They can only help. So keep that in mind. More information to follow. Any more questions? See your counselor or speak with your teacher. That schedule is in Tiger Times, by the way. If you want to see that end of year schedule, that's in Tiger Times. That's emailed out every week from Mr. Pigeon. Check your email. Okay, summer school. We realize that some of you have struggled this year with remote learning. You are not alone. With that in mind, we are going to be offering summer school as a chance for you to recover credit. Here's how high school works, and I tell this to all freshmen I meet with one-on-one. There is no such thing as social promotion. Maybe you realized in middle school, even if you failed a class, you just moved on to the next school year, even if you didn't take summer school. That's not how high school works, everybody. If you fail a class, I'll just say Global 9. If you fail Global 9, you either take Global 9 next school year, the whole school year, you take it again, or better yet, you come to summer school and you come in for about 20 days, an hour a day for each class that you failed, and you earn that credit over the summer. That will be way better than you having to take the entire class again next school year. This helps you stay on pace for graduating in 4 years. We really would like everybody to be passing all of their core classes and earning about, what, Mr. Benton, about 5.5 to 6.5 credits. That's the goal we would like you to earn every school year. You're muted, Mr. B. You'll just need to unmute, Mr. Benton.
There you go. Yeah. Yes, but actually most students get even more, 7.5 a year.
Okay, so in order to earn those credits, you have to pass your classes. So if you don't pass them at the end of this school year, we will be signing you up for summer school. That will allow you to earn the credit over the summer. So you earn that credit towards graduation and you don't have to take it again next school year. Also, if it's a Regents course, you'll earn that exemption. So you don't have to take the Regents exam in the future. These summer school classes will be in person starting July 7th through August 11th. You come in for about an hour a day per class, no Fridays, and more information to come. Students, keep checking your school email every day for a lot of important information about so many things, but essentially summer school will be one of them. A lot of good questions. Keep those questions coming in. I'll get to a few of these at the end. I'm going to move along right now to some reminders for my in-school friends here. If you're coming to school physically, just remember, we need to respect the one-way halls and the stairwells are up only or down only. Here's a quick diagram. We should be in between classes, walking counterclockwise and then up only or down only stairs. So keep that in mind. Passes to class. Specifically, let's start with study hall. If you're in study hall and you want to go visit with another teacher or see your counselor, you need to get the pass that I'm holding up and showing you right now in advance. You need to have that signed by a teacher before your study hall. Then I'll use an example. Let's say I'll use Ms. Sholkoff for Global 9. Let's say you'd like to get some extra help from Ms. Sholkoff during your study hall. Ask her in advance to write you a pass. She'll fill it out with the period you're going to see her. You'll go to your study hall. You'll show them the pass, and then you'll be able to go see Ms. Sholkoff. And if you don't do that, if you just skip study hall, you're going to get detention. We've noticed more and more kids are kind of starting to skip study hall, not so much with the freshmen, but some freshmen. And if you are skipping study hall, you're going to be getting detention. If you're with a teacher, you have to get a pass. The same goes for the library. We're going to start opening the library up during lunch periods. However, you cannot just show up to the library without a pass. No pass, no go. Here's how you get a library pass. It's very easy. In the morning before homeroom, stop by the library. Say hello to Mrs. McMaster, the librarian. Ask her to write you a library pass for your lunch period. So if you have fourth period lunch, you say, I have fourth period lunch. I want to go to the library. She will write you a yellow pass. You will then be able to go eat your lunch in the North Gym. After you're done, you'll show that yellow pass to the teacher on lunch duty, and they'll let you go to the library. But if you don't have a pass, you're not going to be able to leave the North Gym. If you're meeting with a teacher in the library, the teacher should write you one of these blue passes. So if you're meeting with a teacher, it should always be a blue pass. If you want to get a library pass, you should get that from Miss McMaster. Good questions there. Keep those coming. I'll get to these questions at the end. Moving on real quickly, dress code reminders. Just remember that hoods should not be worn up. That is a security thing. With masks, it's very hard for us to tell who is who sometimes, and the hoods make it harder. So we're going to ask that you do not have your hood up. We're going to start to ask you kindly to please put your hood down. The same goes with any language that's questionable on your shirt. Any kind of language promoting alcohol or drug use, anything kind of edgy as far as language goes, we may have to have a conversation about you not wearing that to school. And then the same goes for things like bare midriffs or visible underwear. Really, that's not allowed in our dress code. If you have questions about the dress code, I encourage you to take a look at your student handbook or come and see me. But just a few reminders on dress code. Okay, Chromebooks. Let's talk Chromebooks. Hopefully you've enjoyed your Chromebook this year. It's a nice device. However, at the end of the school year this year, you need to turn it in. You'll get it back next year, but we need to keep it over the summer. You also need to turn in your charger and your stylist. Your stylist is like that little pen that you received at the beginning of the school year. If you lost that, try looking for it. But if you lost it, you're probably going to get charged like $5 for it. More to follow on that. I wouldn't worry about it too much right now, but the big thing is your Chromebook and your charger. Make sure you have those and you turn those in at the end of the school year. If you're really on top of your schoolwork, you will be able to turn it in on either June, oh, that's a typo. I should say June 14th or 15th, June 14th or 15th. That's our last day of the bell schedule if you're here. But only do that if you have a personal device at home to log in from. If you have a computer or a laptop at home, cell phone's not good enough. And here's why. You still need to log into class on Wednesday, June 16th, and you still need to log into class on Monday, June 21st. And you may need to access office hours and do classwork. So do not turn your Chromebook in on the 15th if you have extra outstanding work to complete. We will have additional drop-off days for all students, including the remote learners, which we still have a good amount of. You can then drop your Chromebook off to school on either Wednesday the 17th or the following week of June 21st, 22nd, or 23rd. You can drop them off from 9 to 3 in the Westmoreland Loop. You can just pull up and drop off your Chromebook, your charger, your stylus, and any textbooks you have. You have to turn those in as well. If you have your own laptop, again, that makes it nice and easy. You can turn in your Chromebook that last day of school on the 15th. The Westmoreland Loop is the right behind the school where most students park and where parents drop off and pick up at the end of the day. Okay, Mr. Benton, back to you. We have some student services updates. Nothing specific for the freshmen, but a few general reminders from Mr. Benton. You just have to unmute.
Again,
Mr.
not a lot of updates for the freshmen, other than really an important one is just the scheduling piece. You've all done your schedules. We have just one or two stragglers, hopefully, each that we need to get to. No worries, but we'll do that. It's really important though, if you think about wanting to change an elective that you put down, okay, please see your counselor as soon as possible. We want to get all changes completed. We'll be opening up the portal soon so that you can be reminded of what you put down, but you can always ask your counselor if you forgot. But if you're thinking of changing anything, please do it sooner than later, within the next week or two, because we won't be making any changes once the summer starts. What you have down at that point is what you'll be taking next year. So again, see your counselor soon if you want to go back over your course selections and make any changes. And again, just like we've talked about, just finish strong. All these courses will count toward your grade point average later on down the road for colleges, employers, and the sort to see. So I hope everybody has a great, relaxing end of the year and summer.
Mr. Benton, question about band and wind ensemble for scheduling. Is there any specific important information about that?
Yeah, okay. So I know when you met with your counselor, you may have thought about, because wind ensemble is the higher level and symphony orchestra is the higher level, as well as concert chorale. I will be getting a list from the three teachers, Mrs. Ratzer, Pamet-Lars, and Mr. Pendrak, with who made wind ensemble, who made concert chorale and symphony orchestra, and we'll adjust those schedules accordingly. Okay, so if we put the wrong thing down initially, we will put the right thing down once we get those lists. And if you're curious to know if you made it or not, you can just contact your band or orchestra teacher.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Benton.
You're welcome.
Ms. Grossman, is there any specific information for the class of 2024 that you would like to add?
No, nothing very specific. Just obviously we didn't get to do nearly as much as we would have in a typical year, but we are going to be sending out some information, more of a survey to their emails to see about things that they would like to be doing for next year, when hopefully things open up and we're back to normal. And we also have a couple of fundraisers planned, and they will learn about all of that, but nothing specific now, just to make sure that they finish up strong, like I said, and check that email for information that will be forthcoming.
Thank you, Ms. Grossman. Little plug there for email. Email. Keep checking your school email. One more final plug about class of 2024 and updates for student council. We are having elections about to take place next week. So check your email for the Google form to vote for your class of 2024 officers, and keep a lookout for the morning announcements, the video announcements. Part of those video announcements will be the candidates who are running for your class officers and for student council officers. So pay attention to email for your official ballot and watch those videos on the Tiger Action News. We've done a nice job here on time. There are a lot of questions that came in, so I'm going to spend some time now answering some of these questions. And if more come in, you can go ahead and ask as well. So let me just scroll back. So again, if we do take the Regents exam, how will it affect my grade? Ask your teacher about that. But for the most part, the Regents exam will not affect your grade. It does go on your transcript, and it looks good for colleges if you get a high score. Some teachers may have specific class policies where they say, if you do good on the Regents exam, I might bump up your final average, but every teacher has a different policy. So please message or email or speak with your teacher about that. But in general, I will say again, Regents exams can only help you this year. So I recommend you take them. Okay, are we going to go back to school full time? And if so, when? Yes, probably next year, we will be going back 5 days a week. I can almost say that with certainty that next school year, we're going to go back 5 days a week in person. Many of you now have been putting in requests to come back in 4 days a week. Starting next week, we're going to have that option for whoever wants to come back 4 days a week, the ability to do so. We're going to email you out this afternoon, along with your parents, a confirmation of what cohort you are in. Cohort 1, 2, 3, or 4. When you get that email, take a look for it and make sure it's accurate. If you'd like to come back to school 4 days a week and you're not currently doing that, email us, talk with your school counselor, email me, and we will add you in. We have enough room for you, and we'd love to see you back in the school. Okay, moving on. What if you fail a class? And do you need to go to summer school? Yes. If you fail a class, you need to register for summer school in order to recover that credit. It's a good deal. You come in for 20 days, you make up the credit. If you don't go to summer school, you have to take the whole class again for 40 weeks. And then it makes it harder for you to graduate in 4 years. So if you've struggled this year, that's not the end of the world. You'll be able to recover that credit this summer. More information to come on that. Passes for study hall. Again, if you want to get a pass, ask your teacher. Teachers should write you the pass, that blue pass, before you go to study hall. So you should have this from a teacher ahead of time. If you don't take the living environment exam, are you unable to get an advanced diploma? No, you can still get an advanced diploma without taking the exam. Again, the exam can only help you, but you still could get an advanced diploma without taking it. However, it would put a little more weight and importance on future exams that you will have to take. I would speak with your counselor about more specifics there. If you receive extra help from a teacher for the entire lunch period, is that still allowed? So if you're not going to lunch at all and you're just going to go see a teacher, yes, that is allowed. I recommend that you eat lunch first and have a quick lunch break and then go see the teacher. But if you're with that teacher the entire period and you're going right there and they know you're there, that's okay. But you can't use that as an excuse to see a teacher for 5 minutes and then wander the halls and hang out in the bathrooms. So that's a big no-no. If you're with a teacher, you should be with them the whole period. If you wrap up a little bit early, you should go to the cafeteria if that's your lunch period. Okay, Chromebooks. Yes, you return Chromebooks in at the end of the school year. Phys ed with masks on. That still is a requirement now. Phys ed, you still need to wear your mask during phys ed. Maybe that changes next year, but for now, masks need to be on during phys ed. Phys ed is pretty low impact this year. They may be able to give you a quick mask break outside when you're spread out. If that's a problem and you're having a hard time breathing during phys ed with your mask on, talk privately to your phys ed teacher and let them know what's going on. Okay, another question. How many quarters do you need to fail in a core class to go to summer school? It doesn't matter how many quarters you fail. It matters what your final average is in the class. and feel free to hop in here, Mr. Benton, but if you have a final average of 65 or higher in a class, you pass the class. If your average is 65, 64 or lower, you fail. It doesn't matter if you had like a 90, an 80, a 70, and then in the fourth quarter, you got a 20. If that averages out to lower than a 65, you fail and you need summer school. Am I saying that right, Mr. Benton?
Yeah, yeah. And just to put a little perspective on it, this year, based on all of the circumstances, and this is not a typical year, that any student that fails a class, no matter what their average is, we are allowing to go to summer school. That's also one of the important reasons we're doing in-person summer school, to get as much substance as we can this summer. So even if your average is, 40, you're going to be allowed to go to summer school. Normally, the policy is that you have to have at least a 55 average. 55 is failing, but you have to have between 55 and 64 to be eligible for summer school. Okay. That will still be in effect moving forward next year. Okay. Obviously, with some of the circumstances this year and the remote issues, we didn't want to put that restriction on. But typically, you have to earn at least a 55 to go to summer school. So that will apply again next year. Okay. And the spirit of that is that we don't want students to really not get much accomplished at all during the year and then be able to make it up in 4 or 5 weeks in the summer. So this year, though, anybody's eligible.
Yep. And it's a good deal. So if you're close to that 65 number, make sure you're conferencing with your teacher and you understand what you need to do to get up ahead of that 65, maybe for that class. Okay, what if we have our own laptop to do school on? That's fine, but I would recommend keeping your Chromebook handy until the last possible minute. Some teachers require you use your Chromebook because of Go Guardian, especially if you're taking a digital final exam, like I think Miss Smith for Earth Science. She's probably going to require that you're using the school Chromebook so she can monitor you on Go Guardian as you take your final test for her or any kind of test. Speak with your teachers specifically about that. Regents exams versus normal exams. Regents exams are totally different than end of year final exams. So questions should go to your teachers specifically, but if you're taking earth science, living environment, or algebra, those are 3 Regents exams we would recommend that you take this year. They can only help you. Let's see, what else do we have? Is it mandatory to come in 4 days a week, or is it a sign up? We recommend all students come into school 4 days a week. Your parents, it's ultimately up to them. It's not up to you, it's up to your parents. We have been sending out requests for them to indicate whether or not they'd like you in 4 days a week. We're going to send that email out today. If your parents tell you you're coming in 4 days a week, you have to come in 4 days a week. Let's see. Talked about this one. If you fail non-core classes, things like phys ed, health, or Spanish, will summer school be available? It depends. Yes for phys ed, most likely yes for health, probably yes for Spanish, but we're still working that out. Stay tied to your email, but we would prioritize your core classes first. If you have failed multiple classes, you may not be able to take them all in the summer because of the schedule and how many are offered. So you would meet with your counselor to figure out which ones you're taking. What if we don't have enough credits to graduate? Do we get held back? You're thinking really, really far ahead. So don't worry about that too much right now, but you need about 22 credits to graduate and we will work with you every step of the way. But it is important this year to finish strong. And if you didn't pass a class or two, come into summer school, engage, show up, get that skill that you need to be successful next year and earn that credit. Will we be, I'm just going to move right through these, a lot of questions. Do you have to be vaccinated to attend school next year? We don't know. At this time, the answer is a no, but that might change. So we don't have information on that yet. Okay, little clarification. What's the last day of school this year? So the last day of logging into homeroom is June 21st. That's a full remote day. June 21st is a full remote day. Also, June 16th is a full remote day. The last day of the period schedules is June 15th. What if you failed lab but passed the class overall? In that case, you would pass the class and not need summer school. The lab grade gets factored in to the course grade. But if you're failing lab, odds are you might be failing the class and it's going to lower your average. So work with your teacher to get those labs made up. Again, Regents exams are not mandatory this year, but highly encouraged. They can only help you. You're going to have to take them next year, everybody. So you might as well get a little experience this year. Summer school question. How long does it last? It's 20 days, 20 days of summer school. Each class would be roughly an hour. That's better than having to retake the whole class next year for 40 weeks. So summer school is about 20 days. You have to have an overall average of a 65 in a class to earn credit. Masks next year. I don't know. If everybody gets vaccinated and the numbers go down, probably not. But that depends on a lot of human behavior and people's comfort level with getting vaccinated. So we don't have a good answer for you there. How do you calculate your final class average? Take all of your quarter grades, add them up, and divide by 4. That would give you your final average. If you want to know what your average is after the first 3 quarters, average your first, second, and third quarter grades together by 3. Any questions, see your counselor or email your teacher. Ask what your current grade is.
Just for those of you that are very particular with math and want to do that, if you just average everything together, it's probably not going to come out exact. Like if you check, most likely the way you're going to do it and calculate your averages, and then when you see your average on the report card, it may not match exactly. Okay, see your counselor, because there are a few little nuances in terms of the weighting of the course, in terms of whether it's a full year class or a half year class, where you have to make a little bit of math adjustments to get it exact. So it's going to come out and it'll be a ballpark figure. It'll give you a good idea, but it won't be exact probably. To get it exact, see your counselor.
Question about if you pass a class, can you take it again in summer school? Not sure. That's a really interesting question.
No.
If so, it would maybe just be to get some extra skills, but it could not be used to improve your average.
Correct.
Yeah. So see your counselor on that one if there's a specific reason you'd like to do that. Okay. What do we do on days when there are exams and we are not taking them? You don't really need to do anything other than make sure you're staying up on your other classwork. But for the most part, that's kind of like a day off. Okay, what if I take Latin for 4 years? Will that help you earn credits? Yes, it will. But remember, you still need to earn your math credits, your science credits, your social studies credits. Okay, will colleges look at individual quarter grades or the final average? Final average. College admission officers do not see your report card. So if you have a real bad second quarter, they're not going to see that. They're just going to see your final average for the class. If someone who had an average of an 80 in class wanted to take summer school to bring it to a 90, no, that's not possible. That's not possible. Sorry. Yearbooks. More information to come about when yearbooks will be distributed, but probably at the end of the school year. Check your email. And then a couple questions about what colleges are looking for, and does high school have dual credit like college classes? We do have some of that dual credit college, high school credit classes that you can take as an upperclassman. Speak with your counselor. These are really good questions, but not really the place to answer them now. Give your counselor a quick email, ask to Zoom with them real quick, or come in on a Wednesday for that chat. These are great questions. But
I would really encourage you to do that, because again, you're getting to know your counselor a little bit early. I would love to hear if any of my students are thinking that right now that are freshmen. I would love to have a conversation about that with you.
So great questions, everybody. Mr. Pigeon, you have the last word. We are way over on time, but I know Mr. Pigeon wanted to have some final words here.
Yeah, the freshmen win the contest here. 150 participants. Nice job, class of 2024. You've been through, a tough year. Kind of a bummer way to come into your high school experience. But if you're a glass half full type of person, one would say you've got 3 more years ahead of you to really kind of get the full high school experience. And from the type of questions you've been asking, I think many of you are ready to get the full high school experience. What I want you to do, we gave you a lot of information, but the most important piece of information from this meeting is that we're moving in the right direction from, what was a difficult pandemic for all of us, your parents, you, your family and friends, businesses, the country, the world. It's been challenging. And it's been harder on some people than others. Some of you have done real well, and some of you are suffering a little bit. But here's the good news. We want to get all back together. And one of the things I wanted you to think about was just about some of the comforts that some of the ease that this pandemic brought. For example, going to school 2 days a week, having Wednesdays off. Let's face it, we've gotten a little used to that. It's become comfortable. Getting out of bed on a Wednesday is not so easy. Whether or not you go to school or stay home on Zoom, all of those things never existed until 12 months ago. And now they've become like, oh, we're used to them. We kind of really like the comfort of that. I like wearing my pajamas 6 days a week, but we need to move out of that for your own benefit. Because the pace, the rigor, in order to perform in life, I'm going to start sounding like your moms and dads here now. We really need to pick it back up, and you need to kind of resist those urges that you've had to be like comfortable all the time and laying in bed and things like that. And many of you haven't, but you know what I'm saying, is that we want to move in that direction. And we're going to do it together. We're going to do it together. Some of us adults have gotten into that habit, like, oh, geez, Wednesdays are kind of nice, that type of thing. So we'll move together. We want you to be ready for this opportunity of these 20 days we're talking about. Really is kind of like a really nice warm up for next year. It's a good opportunity to kind of move back to normal without being rushed back to normal. It'll be super helpful if you're super cooperative with, I know it's going to get a little bit tough to get used to it. I'm kind of looking forward to what Monday is going to feel like, because it's going to feel like a lot more people in this place. And it's an experience that you haven't really had yet as freshmen, what this place used to feel like on a Monday with 900 people in it. Well, it won't be quite that much, but it's going to be 600 people. It's going to be a lot of people, 500-600 people. So it's going to feel different. We want you to be ready for that. Nothing to be anxious about. That's why we had these meetings. That's why we wanted to get you ready for it, give you some time to think about it. Those of you who decided to stay home 2 days a week because your parents thought so, ask them one more time, maybe, hey, can I come back 4 days a week? Those of you who are remote, this is a safe place. Come back to us before the end of the school year. Really consider it. Talk to your parents about that. If not, start to get the thought process of you're coming back in September, because you're going to be coming back in September.
Or even in the summer.
Or even in the summer. Come back in person. Summer school is only in person, so you got to come back. It's safe here. So we just wanted to kind of ease back into what is a great place, which is normal. And my theme here is the pace of normal is a little quicker. And there's a little bit more expectation. So we're gonna reach those expectations together. And I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Thank you, Mr. Pigeon, Mr. Benton. Thank you, everybody who joined and stayed with us till the end. Fantastic questions. We will end the year strong together. If you have any more questions, just let us know. At this point, we are going to end the meeting. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day.